The really exciting thing about this project is that it is the pilot or the first project in which we've been able to take advantage of the merger between IMA and LWR and use that expertise from IMA in nutrition and health and kind of combine it with our expertise in livelihoods and our presence in Latin America to help these families. Guatemala has one of the highest levels of malnutrition in the world, and particularly in Latin America. We knew that we wanted to really hone in on those families where they may have not great access to water, not great access to education, that have been affected by migration, and particularly single mothers. One component of the project is to teach families about proper hygiene in the home, proper hand washing techniques, hygiene when cooking and manipulating foods and preparing foods. And then we also have a component in which we are improving or attempting to improve the diversification of diets for families and particularly children. So that in the end, not only improves nutrition for the children themselves, but also for women who are lactating and are breastfeeding. It improves, the idea is to improve their nutrition, so then that transfers to the baby. We're working with a local partner called Funda Sistemas, and we have a technical specialist hired through Funda Sistemas. There are several actually that have helped us to sort of launch the training component of this project. But throughout the life of the project, we've also been working to identify and train promoters in the community that are all women. It's on a volunteer basis. And what we've done is identified different women who have kind of shown the interest and the leadership qualities needed to sort of perpetuate that training and refreshers and continue empowering the women in the communities to keep up with the practices that they've learned. So they will conduct and it helps us to sort of maintain that in a broader scope versus just having our technical specialists come in and having to go house by house, one by one. So it's actually someone from their community that's going into their homes. They also help them with their gardens that we've established through the project to help grow those vegetables that they'll have on a more regular basis to incorporate into their diets. We've seen a lot of women express that they feel really empowered and like they're capable of a lot more than they thought they were from having become promoters in the community. There's one instance in particular of a woman named Suemia, who became the vice president of her local community association. And she expressed to us that, had it not been from the project, she wouldn't have felt confident enough to take on that role as the first woman vice president of the community association. So that's great. That's actually sort of an unexpected result, if you want to call it that, of this project, is that we've gotten, really positive feedback from the men themselves, and they've been very supportive and encouraging the women to continue taking on these leadership roles. So there is one story I want to tell you, a very special story about a woman named Irma and her family. And I was fortunate enough to be able to meet her in her home. She opened her home to us just recently. And she is really a stellar example of the women that we've been working with in these communities. So she demonstrated to us, how she's been incorporating vegetables into her diet and different protein sources into her diet, into her children's diet, harvested from the vegetables right there from her home. And not only is she, has she shown that she is keeping up with these practices, she noted to us that she has seen an improvement in her baby's health and her own health from since the beginning of the project from these practices of diversifying her diet. So it was really important to us to start incorporating those agricultural elements into their daily lives so that they could see the benefits and begin to also to learn how to produce their own vegetables and their own herbs and that kind of thing. We've gotten really positive feedback not only from the women, and they feel really empowered by being able to do these things, have noted that they're capable of more than they thought they were. One of the big things that we're doing is helping them to produce oyster mushrooms. But what's come of that is that they've noticed that the production's been really successful. And so they're also able to sell those oyster mushrooms for a little bit of extra income On top of that, some of the women have taken it upon themselves to actually take the practice back home and grow the mushrooms in their own home so that it's not just at this community center, but they're also doing this at home. I really think this is a great example of how the project has helped women establish a bit more independence and some self-reliance, right? So now they've seen that they can actually participate in the income generating activities of the household in addition to providing for their children and improving their diets.